second. Wow. Welcome to my channel. My name is Gidi, and this is the first time that I'm going live at around this time, because usually most people on my YouTube channel we normally link up at around 8 in the evening. And this is because we are having a special event on this show. Wow. Very special welcome event to my, because we are going to be awarding some students with awards on Ignite magazine, e-magazine, which I'm sure Dr. Ogola is going to explain to us about it and everything around the magazine. He asked me to host him today because this is a very special initiative towards encouraging young people, especially the youth in the universities and colleges, to start investing early and start looking at their future from a younger or tender age there. So I'm going to introduce Dr. Ogola to tell us about the Ignite Awards. And we have a lot of engagements. We have CEOs from different companies going to join us later on to have a conversation around investment and a lot of other stuff. So, Dr. Ogola, karibu sana. Welcome to the platform.
Thank you very much, Gidi. I was really looking forward to this day because Ignite magazine is going live now to really impact the life of young people. First and foremost, Ignite magazine has not been launched as a magazine to really make money from anybody to do anything with it. Ignite magazine has been launched to educate students through students. If you look at the articles which are in the Ignite magazine, no one has written them but students. So students are the one who are deciding the theme of every month, because the monthly issue. They're the ones who write articles into the magazine, and they are the ones who vote for the best article in the magazine. So everything is students to decide. Because we have had in this world whereby we are being told the youth, they are the future leaders. But now, they are leaders now to start to tell their story through Ignite magazine. What does youth think about investments? So you realize the winning article has talked about investments. What does young people want to talk about? Insurance. What do they want to talk about? Life in general, COVID-19. What are their perspectives? Because everybody is trying to tell young people what should be their perspective. But these young people are in a very special moments which are not the same as any other person. And therefore, it is them to tell their story. So we have an investment unit trust company called Wanafunzi Investment Unit Trust. And this unit trust is supposed to make students to start investing when they are young, when it is early. But also we know that for you to invest money, you have to make some money. So we are creating an opportunity whereby people can make money either by writing articles, like now you see students are winning like 5,000, 3,000, 2,000. We encourage them to invest minimum 20% of that money into the unit trust so that they can start developing the culture of saving. Jubilee is our sponsor of the day. Jubilee Insurance has taken very bold steps. They really don't want to make money. And the initiative is whereby students will sell insurance through us to Jubilee. 60% of the commission goes to the students so that they can save that money and be able to secure their future. And that's why we have a key guest speaker of the day, that is James Mworia. I don't want to speak for James, but everybody knows James Mworia is running one of the most very dynamic investment company in the country. James is not very old. James is actually alumni of Strathmore University, who has proven that from very young age, somebody can become a CEO. And I don't want people to write articles like us academics. I want him to tell us, how has he walked that journey? How has it been like from a student to where he is now? So that's why Ignite magazine is here. And we have 3 things we want students to get from Wanafunzi Investment Unit Trust. First is job opportunities. Jubilee is offering job opportunities. The CEO will tell you. is offering internship opportunities, and Jubilee is offering career opportunities. In this platform, you'll get the best of the best, telling you how to develop your career. And lastly, how can you become financially sustainable? By working to earn money and saving money to secure your future. Gidi, I think that is the summary of what Wanafunzi Investment Unit Trust Fund is. And therefore, it is the main reason why we have Ignite Magazine, to market and actually to educate students on these three things that the Unit Trust is trying to offer.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Fred Ogola. And I think next on the program, we should be having Dr. McFie, but I understand is still trying to log in. So perhaps maybe as we wait for him, perhaps Dr. Ogola, if you give me permission, maybe we introduce one of our guests who are already here. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, we can introduce them. Jim is going to come shortly.
Okay. So I'm going to introduce the... who do I start with? Dr. Ogola? Dr. Kipngetich? All of them are CEOs. Yeah?
Start with the sponsor. You've just heard. Start with the sponsor. You know who's the sponsor.
Let me start with Dr. Julius Kipng'etich, who is one of the sponsors for this initiative. Daktari, karibu sana. Welcome to the show.
Okay, thank you very much, Gidi.
Yes.
I think for us as Jubilee family, Jubilee Holdings, with several companies we run. We actually run 12 companies in East and Central Africa. Jubilee is very proud to be the main sponsor for the Ignite Awards. And for us, we are also very proud to work with Strathmore, one of the premier universities in the region and Africa. And we want to just say congratulations to Strathmore for hosting Wanafunzi Insurance Agency. And this is about teaching young people about investments, insurance, and generally how life works out there. You know, sometimes professors can teach, the theory of it. You can read a textbook, an article, and then discuss with students. But here are students who are also on the ground to learn how business works. And the mixture of that reality on the ground and classroom experience will enrich them immensely. And for us as Jubilee, then, we want to have the ability to bring on board as employees, as agents, as partners, people who are already industry ready. Dr. Ogola talked about internships and things like those. All those are all geared towards bringing our young people into the table so that then they can learn about a business. Why Jubilee? Why is Jubilee interested in this? We are reaching out to young people so that then they can learn about insurance pretty early. As you are aware, insurance penetration in Kenya is low, but even within that low penetration, it is falling. 2-3 years ago, the penetration was at 2.7. As we speak today, the penetration has dropped to 2.4% of GDP. So what does that mean? That 97% plus of our economy is not insured. There could be other risk mitigation measures, things like Arambe and so forth, but that is not the way risk should be managed in an economy. There are ways of mitigating so that then, if you look at many economies which have progressed in the last even 100 years, a lot of them have used insurance funds, pension funds to grow. A good example in our region is South Africa. A large part of South Africa's economy was financed by insurance companies. So insurance companies are the biggest mobilizers of savings in any society. Insurance penetration in South Africa is 16%, is one of the highest in the world. And we hope one day that Kenya's insurance penetration will be 16% of GDP. If we reach there, you would then realize that a lot of the savings that we mobilize is also used for national development, because some of these savings are invested by governments and insurance companies in our society. For example, in Uganda, Jubilee owns the biggest electricity generating company, which is Bujagali. Bujagali generates 40% of the electricity in Uganda. So the money which we mobilize goes a long way to support national development. We hope then that when we then engage young people, so that then they see the importance of mobilizing savings, we are actually imparting in them ideas on how a country develops. The other thing we also want to introduce to young people is the concept of risk-taking. Any start of a business is taking a risk. Entrepreneurship is about taking risks. And if they learn a risk culture early enough, they will have the confidence then to create companies for tomorrow. If you look at some of the successful companies that have grown in the last 10 years or so, things like Facebook. Facebook started off in a university dormitory. So Zuckerberg, with his colleagues in Harvard, thought they could create a notice board. So the world today has the biggest notice board called Facebook, and it has 2 billion followers. It's the same thing for companies like Microsoft. Bill Gates himself dropped out of Harvard University early enough because he had a burning idea, that of creating a software company. So today, we are planting that seed in Strathmore, where students are learning how to take risks very early. And these awards is about encouraging them. You know, Ignite Awards about encouraging people to have that risk-taking culture. The third aspect we would like students to have is a governance culture. As you know, we are not very good in this part of the world in matters governance. We have challenges of corruption, challenges of integrity, but we want to introduce young people very early in life that what does it take to create a successful company? And one of the critical components is good governance. And we hope through Wanafunzi Insurance Agency, they learn about how to run a company, the importance of integrity, the importance of keeping your word, the importance of customer service, and all the ingredients that go into making a company successful. So we as Jubilee are going to play our role. Jubilee is a listed company, so we subscribe to the highest form of corporate, best corporate practices, because we are a listed company. We also are trying to promote another initiative called the Blue Company. The Blue Company initiative is about spreading the word, you know, beyond ourselves and saying, what does it take for a company to do the right things and be successful at the same time? So that is why Jubilee is interested in this initiative. So I would like now to say, well done to the winners, Daniela, Faith, and Elizabeth. I guess I'm jumping the gun by saying who the
you already mentioned the name.
But we celebrate those who are going to win. Yeah. The MC will and Dr. Ogola will say what position you took. But all of you are winners. Okay, all the students are winners. The fact that you participated is being a winner in itself. I hope you will learn from selling insurance. Insurance is a very difficult product to sell. I know most of you call it a grudge sell. You know, you have to push down somebody's throat. But that is the way it works. But if we do it correctly, if you learn how to do it, and this spreads around the country, we will then have, first of all, manage the risk in the economy. You know, insurance is a pooling concept, and once you pool, you manage the risk, and those funds are therefore invested. So if you look at companies globally, some of the most successful countries, as I said earlier on, are those who have a very rich and illustrious insurance industry. Finally, I would like also members of Wanafunzi to be good members of our society. Through this initiative, you learn also about your country. It will allow you to travel. It will allow you to meet people from different places, different communities, different age groups, different income brackets. All these things is understanding Kenya's diversity. God has given us one of the most beautiful countries in the world. I know you don't believe this probably because you have not traveled outside. But for me, who has traveled probably around a quarter of the countries in the world, that's a good sample. This is one of the most beautiful countries. If we make Kenya work, and I believe that young people like you have the commitment to make Kenya work, you will be living in a small heaven. As we speak today, Kenya has incredible challenges. Issues of corruption, issues of income inequality, issues of, unemployment. We know all the challenges of Kenya. But with young people like you taking the high road, making that first step in understanding business and creating jobs, we are on the road to facing Kenya's challenges head on. I believe that the young people, especially Generation Y and Generation Z, are going to make a world of difference in this country. And this initiative of Wanafunzi is just one of them. And Ignite Awards is just one of those things encouraging people to be good writers, to imagine, to be creative, to be innovative. And with that innovation, I can assure you, we will build a beautiful country. Kenya is truly a magical place. And that magic will come through your innovation, your creativity, and I wish you well. And I wish you very, very well. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Julius Kipngetich, CEO Jubilee Insurance. Actually, there's somebody who is asking some question here. Perhaps maybe I can put it to the screen. And I'd like to encourage people watching the show, wherever you are, if you have any question that you want our guest to answer, you can put it on the comment section, and I'll put it on the screen so that it can be answered. Now, this Bwana Kefa Nyongo is asking Bwana Kipngetich, as per your studies, what's the main reason which make Kenyans in particular be afraid of taking insurance?
The critical thing that makes people shy from insurance is the industry itself is weak, very weak. Okay? It has 51 players. There are 51 companies. Most of them are undercapitalized. So Jubilee is one of those very strong companies. And I'm very proud to say that, we run one of the best companies in the region. The other aspect is corruption. It is the only industry I've ever come across in my entire life, and I've run various companies, where fraudsters take from the industry more than the shareholders.
Wow.
So it means, therefore, that fraudsters take more money than the owners of the capital, the owners of the companies. So it's a sad situation. And what we want part of this engagement of young people is to say, we cannot have an industry where criminals take more than the owners of the business. And that is why we in Jubilee have started the Blue Company Initiative, which is about making sure that the industry is that of integrity. So I would like just to tell the questioner that part of your initiative and learning as young people is to make sure that we encourage confidence in the insurance industry, that we have honest people, and the fraudsters are chased away. And remember, the fraud occurs at the claim stage. People come with false claims. And then once we do that, then people will have confidence to, first of all, take insurance policies to mitigate risk, and then also save their money through pensions, through life insurance policies, so that then when we do that, that money then is reinvested in the economy to create jobs and secure your future. That is the whole essence of insurance. So it's a very good capital mobilizer in the economy if we run it correctly. And for me, if we just say, for example, double the insurance penetration, say from 2.4 now to 4.8, we'll have incredible savings in our economy, and you will see a lot of the projects that will go to borrow money abroad, that money will be available locally to run all these projects. It's just that probably we are not, I mean, the people who decide on which projects to invest in are not very prudent. But we in Jubilee are very, very prudent. I'm sure you will never see a Jubilee building because buildings returns are so low. So many people ask me, how come there are towers of other insurance companies and none for Jubilee? I ask them, have you looked at the return of a building? What's the occupation of that building? So we do the right things. And I want to assure the Wanafunzi team that you have actually engaged the right insurance partner. We are very prudent, and you will learn that prudence from us. I guarantee you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Julius Kipngetich. Dr. Ogola, we have McFie. I don't know if you want to introduce him so that.
Yes, I'm ready. Yes.
Okay.
But he will not go because he needs to say something to Julius.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Bibi. I would like to take this chance to my chair of the board. You know, the chair of the board is your boss, so you don't speak much. You just listen more. So, Dr. Jim Mcfie is the chair of the board of Wanafunzi Investment Jubilee. He's coming on board. His work was to introduce Dr. Julius Kipng'etich. So, Dr. Julius already spoken, so you can just say a word to him given the partnership, because the insurance agency partnered with Jubilee, and this was more or less a discussion between the two of you. So allow him to come on board first to say something about the investment, then the insurance agency, and say a word of gratitude to for the sponsorship of the day. Thank you.
All right. I hope you can hear me. I was meant to be in my office actually, but the corridor to my office was locked, so I'm out in a hall at the university. It's just that I'm here because my internet connection at home is not too good, and I was in a meeting recently where I actually had to stop the meeting. Well, I had to stop and go to another place to actually get back into the meeting. So I'm here in the university, but I'm sitting in a kind of a hallway, and I hope the sun is not shining behind so that you can't see who I am. And also, it looks as if I'm looking down a well, because the table that I have in front of me is a low table. I'd like to have this thing up here so that you could see me properly. But anyway, my apologies for that. Thank you very, very much indeed, Julius. Julius and I have been associated with one another for many years now. I would say the best part of 30 years. And I've always been incredibly impressed by the work he does. And one of the reasons why we're actually partnering with Jubilee is precisely what he said. What he said is that Jubilee is one of the better insurance companies in the region, and that's exactly why Wanafunzi is actually partnering with them. A little bit later, we're going to have James Mworia speaking to us. James is the managing director of Centum. He actually became the managing director of Centum at the age of 31, and he's been the managing director ever since. So the reason why he is here is because of the fact that the person who looks after our money from Wanafunzi, is actually, well, it's a Nabo Capital. Nabo Capital is a 100% subsidiary of Centum. So James has his hand, as it were, on the money, which is actually going to be invested on behalf of Wanafunzi. The managing director of Nabo Capital is Price Mushiri, who is, you know, a truly outstanding man. I know that when he goes to the United States and meets people there, you know, he actually, well, sort of, you know, has people on their heels, as it were, because they very often don't realize what a clever man he is that they're dealing with. So he's a man who's actually performed in an absolutely startling way for Nabo Capital. And, you know, I'm sure that our money being with Nabo Capital is going to be a very, very good partnership. But as I say, I'd really like to thank both James Mworia, because obviously, you know, with his blessing, I don't know really, but possibly without his blessing, Nabo Capital wouldn't be able to do this for us. But also, I'd like to really thank Julius, because this partnership with Jubilee gives our students the opportunity to learn about business while they're still students. And I know that there's the first truly African audit firm in Kenya is called Mbaye & Associates. And Mike Mbaye, who's the son of the founder, is actually the managing partner of that particular firm at the moment. And I was talking to him recently, and he said, look, you know, get your students, get some experience, even go and work in a kiosk just outside the houses, so that they actually understand, you know, well, you've got to bring in income in order to be able to pay expenses. Now, the fact that our students in Wanafunzi are able to get professional experience with Jubilee is something which is incredibly important for their development. And I think you've got to be very, very grateful to Julius and also to Jubilee that they're able to do this for us. Because, you know, it's incredibly important that we learn how to run businesses successfully. And, you know, we've got to start small. And you, in your own particular way, have got to learn how I want to sell. And, you know, I was showing my students the other day a video on entrepreneurship. And this man, he's a very, very talented person. He said, well, you've got to have 10 criteria that you've got to fulfill in order to become an entrepreneur. And you've got to be ready to really work. So we've got to understand this, okay? Many Kenyans are incredibly hardworking people. So the position is that, you know, Kenya will be successful, as Julius says. Kenya will be successful if our youngsters learn how to really work efficiently, to work well. Because we have to remember that it's Kenya incorporated against Ethiopia incorporated, against China, against India. So we've got to be more competitive than any other country in the world. We have the best marathon runner in the world. No other man has ever run the marathon in under 2 hours. But he gives us an incredible example of what we have to do in order to make Kenya a better place. So Julius was telling us, look, you youth, you are the people who've got to actually be ready to be the future leaders. But don't forget, you're not a leader from day one, but you are a leader in wherever you are. You're giving good example by working really well. So this is what we want to try to have in Kenya. And if we do that, I tell you, my sister who is in the United States was saying that country is going down, down, down. So Kenya, you youngsters, we want to make sure that Kenya goes up, up, up. So thank you very much indeed, though, Julius. Thank you, Jubilee. Thank you also, Centum. Thank you, James Mworia.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Ogola. Asante sana.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I would like to thank Jim. As Jim said, we have been on this journey with him. I first taught in Strathmore myself in 1991 to ACCA students. I started with the ACCA class, then later on moved the CPA classes, and I occasionally still teach at the university. And I want to assure this congregation that Jubilee is committed to this program. And I want to thank the Jubilee team and the Strathmore team for where we have reached so far. And so I want to tell Dr. Fred Ogola that we are in it for the long haul, and because we are planting a seed for generations. I want in the next 30 years, when this congregation looks back, we say we planted a seed, and that seed has germinated, and we will have several James Mworias from among you who will be running successful companies and, generating wealth for the country genuinely. There are too many brokers in our country. They carry different names, hustlers and things like those. We are not here to train hustlers. We're here to train genuine entrepreneurs, genuine wealth for our country, which then drives our country, as Jim says, up and up and up. We want to go up in a genuine way, and the whole world is looking for a successful African country. And I believe that country in sub-Saharan Africa, with the commitment of Generation Y and Z, will be Kenya. And I have so much faith in this generation. And so therefore we are planting that seed, so that in the next 30 years, most of you will be very, very successful entrepreneurs and employing many people, and we will celebrate all of you. So I want to say thank you very much. I want to log out now because I have another event. And
before you log out,
and on behalf
before you log out, Dr. Kipngetich, you are the one who was to introduce the key guest speaker. Because he said that we are the one who made him learn. So I don't know what you're going to do about that.
Okay.
I'm very proud to introduce Mworia. Probably just for your information, I sit with him in the board of LEWA. And we are trying to put in skills of the best conservation methodologies and approaches. And he's a very valued member of the team. When he was made CEO of Centum, at first I was apprehensive. Okay? But remember, even he was CEO at the age of 21. I was the director of student welfare at the University of Nairobi at the age of 31 in 1997. And the university took a risk on me to take care of 10,000 boarding students. So Kirubi, the principal shareholder of Centum, took a risk on Mworia. And that risk has turned out well. And those who took a risk on me, I never disappointed them. And that is the inspiration young people should take from this forum, and why we invited Mworia is once you take a risk on young people and you impart in them the right skills and the right attitudes, then you don't have to worry much later. You will just be looking back and say, progress, progress, progress. So young people, Wanafunzi team, you have the greatest inspiration in James Mworia. He's extravagant. He has done law. He has done accounting. So he has a combination of skills that are a bit rare. It's very rare to find an accountant who is also a lawyer, because lawyers hate maths. And I'm sure the lawyers in this forum will be looking at me and say, what are you saying? But that is true. So James Mworia has that combination of skills, But one thing that I've learned from him is his instinct in identifying business investment opportunities. The reason why he has grown that wealth of Centum incredibly is because then he's able to spot business opportunities. Then the other thing also is his ability to build a strong team. Some of the people he has built, and he has told me a lot about the team, is people who are even much brighter than him. But to have that confidence as a CEO and say, come on board, we want, this is the direction, I will provide leadership, but do the number crunching and we take the risk. 2 years ago, I think the board of Centum gave them a bonus, gave staff a bonus of 1 billion shillings, and the markets were like, woo, what are you talking about? If you create value, why not the benefits of that value? So James is a very good example of somebody who has generated value, and he is not, and I guarantee you, he is not one of the primitive accumulators of wealth in Kenya. He is genuine and he means well for people. So I'm very proud, Jim, Fred, Gidi, to introduce James Mworia, our guest speaker today. James, Karibu.
Thank you very much, Julius, for that very wonderful introduction. It's a huge honor. When we started, Julius mentioned that we want to impart knowledge to young people, and I reminded him that I'm one of those young people, because when Julius was teaching in Strathmore in 1991, I was doing my KCPE exam. So Julius, I've really enjoyed your presentation. And Julius has been one of my mentors, because when he was leading SWA, what used to call it SWA, Student Welfare Association, I found him there when I joined the University of Nairobi in 1997 as a student, when I was looking for a hall of residence. Although we did not know each other, we've continued to work together in various capacities in life. And really somebody I look up to. I also want to thank Jim Mcfie, because when I reported as a student at Strathmore in 1996, CPA Section 1, Jim Mcfie was a no-nonsense financial accounting lecturer. It was my thing. And if you're not getting it, he'd hit you on the head with a piece of chalk. And he was a wonderful inspiration in terms of his diligence. And later on, we even served on the board of Centum for many years. And a lot of the decisions we took were together with Jim Mcfie. So it just shows you the power of relationships, even as you are a student today. Some of the people who are your lecturers, you might end up working together in the future. And it's been wonderful to know Jim and to know Julius. I also want to thank Dr. Ogola and Kidi for the thing you're doing with Wanafunzi, and for inviting me today. I actually did not know that Wanafunzi is working with NABO, so I'm really glad that NABO is involved in this wonderful initiative. And that's really the power of what we do. You know, it's really empowering people and not managing, and allowing them to other people. So really, it's a big honor and a pleasure for me to be here this afternoon to preside over this graduation, and I also congratulate all the winners, and indeed everyone who has participated in this event. I did ask, because I didn't want to bore you with long speeches, I asked to be given some questions, so that then I could address my remarks towards certain questions. And so the first question I was asked is, what has been my personal financial management and entrepreneurial journey, and what I've learned from it. So I began business a long time ago. You know, when I was maybe 10 or 11, I used to work. I started working at my late dad's law firm. Then worked at my mom's restaurant. And so when other kids would stay at home over the holidays, I would go and be the cashier at the restaurant. And then have to balance the books, serve customers. And in fact, when I reported at Strathmore, the December before, the entire month I'd been at the restaurant working when the family had gone for holiday. so that I could make fees to come to Strathmore in 1996 for section 1. And so out of the profit that I had made, my reward was to be able to attend Strathmore. And so I've been on that business journey, and it was interesting when I joined, and I'd not studied accounting before at all in high school. My first exposure to accounting was in Strathmore, and section 1 was really wonderful to now understand accounts, to understand how businesses make money, to understand economics, because now I could read the entire newspaper and understand it, because before I would skip the business sections, the economic sections, I didn't understand anything, and I could now start understanding and understand law. So for me, that was, I think Strathmore really opened my eyes to the world, because you're sort of half blind if you can't understand business. I then went on after I finished CPA section 6 in 98 to then worked briefly at Ernst & Young, and then started offering financial services to small businesses. Eventually worked sort of as a part owner and as sort of in a petrol station, where you really have to make money, and make money by serving customers and then account for it, because what we were taught in Strathmore was how to account for the money that has been made. But then in the real world, you have to learn how to make the money so that you have something to account for. If you have no sales, you can't even pass the first double entry of the P&L, where you debit cash and credit sales account and credit either. So that for me was my introduction. Eventually, just as Julius was saying, when I graduated with a degree in law, and there was a wonderful lecturer we had in section 1 called Nathan, who advised, because my initial choice was law, and he advised me to stick with it, even though I'd picked up accounting because of the breadth of understanding. I secured an internship at an organization then, which is today's Centum. It was called ICDCI. Just like many of you will be securing that internship. And when I came in, what I tried to understand is how that particular business creates value, and then how I connect my skills and the work I'm doing to the purpose of the organization. Because I realized when I was in business that the only way you make money is if you create value for your customer. And you need to connect what it is you're doing to what, because my client was a company that had employed me. And so I treated it as a service provider-client relationship, as opposed to an employer-employee relationship. And my first job was in the filing room as a filing clerk. And I really enjoyed it because it was a learning opportunity to understand how the business operates. And so I really enjoyed reading the files and understanding the investment process and the decision-making processes. And that, I think, helped me in that learning journey so that I could plug better with the purpose of the organization. And my initial salary was 5,000 shillings, but I said to myself, look, the value I can offer is far greater than the 5,000 shillings. But the only way I'll move from these 5,000 shillings to a higher earning power is if I'm able to enhance the value add to the organization, so that I'm so valuable to the organization that they are prepared to pay me more. And in the many years I've worked, I've never asked for a pay rise. Actually, it's either my boss or the board that has recommended that they give me a bit more money. And so I think the first lesson I've learned is, because today as students, you have human capital. And that's what the school is teaching you. So for you to move from earning, from human capital to enhancing your earning, you need to connect it by how do you enhance your skill? And then how do you work on your mindset? Because it's not about the money, it's about the passion you bring to what you do. And the earning is a byproduct. So if you put the earnings first, I see a lot of people coming and negotiating their salaries first. Let your work speak for yourself. Let your P&L speak for itself. And I remember after like my second year, I did a P&L and said, what real tangible value have I added to this organization? Now to do so, you need to then think about how do you continue to improve your skills. And that's why I went back to engage in the CFA program, because I realized that I'm in an investment organization and my skill set was limited. And that for me to create even greater value and impact to the organization, I needed to work on my skills. So the earning then is is a byproduct of those things, a byproduct of you enhancing your skills, of the passion that you bring it, but ultimately asking yourself at the end of the day, did I add value? No one wants to lose a good partner. So typically, business people are selfish. If you're adding value, they want.
I think we've lost James.
Yeah, it seems we've lost him. Maybe we give him a little bit, like 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Ogola, you can take over as we wait for his link to come back.
So I'm thinking that there are some questions which have been asked there of somebody has asked about the issue of those in diaspora. How can you invest money back home in Kenya? I think that's one question which is noted. That I think has come from Sharon. I think James is coming up. Let me let him continue.
Yeah, he's
James?
back.
Yeah. So I know we're on the subject of investing. You see, you cannot invest that what you don't have. So I was just going to make the point that then from your earnings, then you need to save. Because if you don't save, there's no way you can create capital. And that was the second question. How important do you consider savings? So from the earnings, it is critical you save. I remember I kept a spreadsheet from the first day I started earning. And that spreadsheet had several columns. Column number 1 was the month. Column number 2 was my net salary. Column number 3 is how much I'd saved that month. Column number 4 was the net value of my investment portfolio. If you don't save, there's no way you can make that transition from earnings to capital, because you need to build wealth by setting aside a small sum of money every month. No matter how, even when I was earning 5,000 net, I would save something. And then now, once you save, then how do you invest that money? And one of the questions is, given the current economic conditions, are there any investment opportunities? You know, the investment opportunity that will give you the highest return is an investment in yourself. So when you save and you have some capital, you can then build capacity in yourself so that you can enhance your earning power. Because when you move from earning 5,000 to 50,000 to 100,000 to 200,000 to 1 million, you have more to save. And so the investment in yourself as an investment opportunity will always be available regardless of the economic circumstances that are prevailing. But even when you go and invest in the financial markets, if you take a risk-free investment, like investment in government bonds, for example, and I was working it out, if you just save 5,000 every month at a 12% rate of return, in 10 years, your portfolio will be worth of 1 million shillings. So you don't have to say that for you to become a millionaire, you have to set aside a lot of money. Is to set it aside and invest it conservatively. And that is what will give you the capital when you now have a business idea to then say, I have built wealth to be able to move from being to become an employer. So that's sort of the transition, moving from human capital to earning power, to then saving, to then building wealth, to then becoming an owner of capital and an owner of business. If you're investing 10,000 shillings every month for 10 years, compounding it at 12%, it's 2 million shillings. If you make it 30,000, it's close to 20,000, it's close to 5 million shillings. 30,000 is 7 million shillings. So many of us are not millionaires out of choice because you have access to this 5,000 shillings. But the temptation to spend it in things that will not live beyond that particular moment is great. But if you think that your earnings are an outlet of your creative process and you respect your effort, then you'll see the imperative of saving and having that discipline so that when you need the capital, you have it. And so that for me was my journey. And so after about 2 or 3 years, I was looking at my spreadsheet this morning. I had a capital of about 5 million. By year 4, it was about 10 million shillings because then the stock market was doing well. And that's sort of how you build your wealth. So you're building it in multiple ways. You're working on your skills and your capability to enhance your earning power. You're maintaining your discipline to save, and that money is sort of multiplying and then giving you now enabling you as you build experience to then move on to be either a shareholder of the business you're in or an owner of capital. The other question that was asked is, how do you accomplish, the objective of many people is to make money. And once you've made money, what keeps you motivated? The point I wanted to make is that, God has equipped us with a talent and an ability. And in the period you have, I think it's our responsibility to be an outlet of God's creative process. And so in pursuing that passion and in pursuing the talent, the primary motivation is not to make money. The primary motivation is to make a difference. And money is a byproduct of that. You'll have added value to your customers, you've added value to your shareholders, ultimately you'll make money. And work is like a mirage. The more you do, the more there is to be done. And the greater the calling and the greater the need for your skills. So to that question, if your primary desire is to make money, then you are unlikely to be successful. Because the challenge today we face as employers is, we have a lot of skilled people coming out of our universities. They have the book knowledge, but the passion and the energy and the motivation, sometimes it's not there. And that's what makes the difference. It's that energy, it's that positive mindset that you bring to your work every day to say, I'm here to make a difference. No matter what challenge I face. Now, you cannot get that level of motivation if you're motivated by the income. You have to be motivated by the desire to do the job. And in doing so, add value. And in doing so, you will get some income. If you then make a passive income, so be it. Then there are a lot of needs. As Julius was saying, we're in a society that with incredible degree of needs. And there's really no end to the needs that one can fulfill when you've built a certain capital base. The fourth question that was asked is that young people in starting their own businesses have a lot of challenges in securing capital. And I was asked whether I agree with that question. And my view is that is one of the problems that many young people face. But I don't think it's the most fundamental problem. The most fundamental problem, in my view, not just for young people, but for business people generally, is the inability to connect what it is they want to do with a real customer need. And the realization that sustainable business exists where you are solving a need that exists in society. That's number one. Number two, that need is broad enough that you can build a scalable business out of it. Number three, you have a business model that enables you to solve a business need in a profitable manner. Number four, you can make cash flow out of that need. Your customers are prepared to pay you in advance. Number five, you have a competitive advantage so that the next person does not come and copy what it is that you're doing. Now, if you can do that, you won't have a problem with capital. Because the easiest capital to get is the capital from your customer, where your customers are prepared to pay you in advance. And if we can focus more on the customer, there are many businesses that exist through raising capital from their owners. So, for example, when I was appointed CEO of Centum, there was 10 million shillings of cash in the bank and an overdraft of 180 million shillings. That's what I started off with in December of 2008. In that period, we've not raised any new capital from our owners. And the money we borrowed, we paid it in full last year, this year actually, about 18 billion. Today, we have a balance sheet of about 60 billion shillings. That growth has not come by us living off the value created by our owners, but you creating your own value. So whereas, yes, capital is a problem. And I was in a forum with Joshua Igara last Friday and Mukisa Kitu, and we were discussing this point. And Joshua made the point that when they were running this show, The Den, many of the business proposals that they got were not focused on addressing a real customer need. So they were not real businesses. And I think the advantage young people have is that today, majority of the consumers are young. 61% of Kenya's population is below 24 years of age. You have an ability to relate more with the customer and to innovate around the customer needs and to come up with new ideas, that because the needs are so different today than they were before, to come up with new ideas rather than the digital marketplace and connect with those needs, and then think about, how do I scale my business? How do I create a competitive advantage rather than copying what your neighbor has done? I think the other question that was asked is, what skill do I wish I had today? Had I known what I know today, what skill would I wish I had when I was age 20 or 21 or 22? I think for me, the most critical skill I wish I had is the ability to sell. Sales. Because there's no need building what you cannot sell. And sort of understanding what the customer really wants. A lot of the times we spent learning the processes in between, the business model, assuming the customer exists. How do I record my sale? And I always make fun with Jim Mcfie. The topic that I really struggled with was deferred tax. So you're spending time, yes, through deferred tax, but for you to end up with tax to pay, you must have created value. And that's one, especially now in the digital marketplace that you're in, understanding, because the world has totally changed. Before it was brick and mortar, customers coming to your shop. Now, customers are engaging on the digital marketplace, and there's a lot of ideas around marketing and sales and the rest. And that's really something I wish I knew, and if I was asked, I would say should be compulsory teaching for any program, because any program we do, we're equipping people with skills to go to the marketplace and sell, whether you're employed or employed. Treat your employer as your client, as your client. Really offer value that far exceeds what you're being paid for, so that tomorrow you can earn a lot more. So I thought I would share those ideas with you around the questions. I really wish you all the best. I want to congratulate the winners. I want to thank Fred and Jim and Gidi for this wonderful initiative around Wanafunzi Investments. I want to encourage all of you to take this opportunity that you've been given by Jubilee seriously. Even if you are selling insurance, it's what will equip you with a skill in future to sell something different. So embrace the opportunity you have, because that's what you have today. Embrace it, learn as much as you can, build your capacity, invest in your capacity so that you can enhance your earning power. Ask yourself every day, what value did I add? And if you're not adding value, reflect back, and the earnings will follow. The earnings will follow value add, as sure as day. And when they do, make a point of saving. If you can, create the spreadsheet, just like I did, and then start building your capital and track the capital. And building wealth is not a sprint. It takes time. And you may be 20 and you think 10 years is a long time. I'm embarrassed sometimes to say I've known Jim Mcfie for 25 years. I only thought old people say that, but 25 years have gone, you know, and so 10 years a short time, 15 years a short time. And that's what it takes to build sustainable wealth over a period of time, and to build your capacity so that ultimately you are an owner of capital and you have the knowledge to keep that capital in place. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all the best, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Wow. Thank you so much. Dr. Ogola, you want to add something?
Before James goes, of course, there are so many questions which are coming. Even if you want to answer them, you'll stay here until midnight because there are so many questions. So yeah. Just take a small highlight of some of those questions, then James can be able to answer them. And then, James, you know, you are the one closing because you are the one who is going to be declaring the winners. And then we give them, and in 15 minutes we shall be done. It's not long from now. But before you answer the question, as you sample the question, let me just emphasize what James has said has really moved me. We have been telling students that there are two ways only to make money. And because the biggest brain in investments are here, I want to test whether I am right or not. there are only two ways to make money. Either you tax, which the government does, or you sell. When I mean sell, I'm employed in Strathmore. I sell my skills to Strathmore community. If they find attractive to buy it, they buy it and they pay me. So whether you are employed or not, you are selling. So to learn how to sell your skills at this age, James says he wishes he knew this early on. Some of us, some students here are 20 years old, 21 years old, 22 years old. You have learned what James says he wishes he had, because he says, if you cannot make money, you cannot even make a spreadsheet. You cannot defer tax, which you don't need to pay because you have sold nothing. So I think that is a very, very noble and key highlight. And as Julius said before, if you can sell insurance where people don't want to buy, you can literally sell anything. And even to add this very clearly, I'm talking, and I'm afraid because Jim Mcfie is my boss in Strathmore and also in Wanafunzi. The main point, as when I was negotiating my contract, I was among the youngest faculty to be employed in the business school, because business school requires a lot of experiences. I remembered, James, how I negotiated my contract was key, because I had been taught how to sell my skills. So that my contract, when things are tough, I shall look at it and smile and say, surely I knew how to sell my skills. So students, whether you want to become an employee, or you want to run a business, or you want to invest, learn how to sell. So over to you, Gidi. I don't know whether, Jim, you have something to comment.
Did you say Jim or did you say Giddy?
Jim.
Oh, okay. You know, one of the questions which is coming up again and again is, how much money do I have to start with in order to become a millionaire?
Oh, yeah.
Now, you know, let's take a good example, a fellow by the name of Alan Sugar. His father was a tailor, and he was living in the East End of London. And in those days, to get a civil service job where you're being paid £23 a week in the UK was, you know, a mark of stability. So his dad, I don't think he ever went to university, Alan Sugar, but his dad said, okay, now, son, look, you know, go and get a job in the civil service and you get your £23 a week. So, in fact, after about 2 months, he came home one day and he said, look, Dad, I am absolutely sick and tired of this bureaucratic work which is adding nothing to society. I'm going to go into business. And his father dissuaded him. He said, look, you know, don't do that. You're going to go bankrupt. You're blah, 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 blah. Anyway, he said, Dad, I've made the decision. You are not going to stop me. And so he started off basically with nothing. But he was doing exactly what you're talking about. He was actually started selling things. And after a short while, he was bringing home so much money that his dad said, look, are you robbing banks or what? You know, where the hell are you getting all of this money from? So the first thing that you've got to do is to identify, what do people need? James was telling us this exactly. Where is there a need? You've got to identify that. You don't make something. I remember even I was having a discussion with Mr. Ruto, the DP, once, and he said, look, Jim, we can grow anything in Kenya. I said, look, it's no good growing anything. Can you sell it? So this is of absolute importance. And sometimes you've got to remember, what's in my head may not actually be in the same thing as the reality. So I've got to have a discerning eye to see what exactly am I going to sell. Now, once you do that, then obviously you've got to have your pricing correct. But you see, the point is, you've got to be ready. You know, this guy that I showed this video, he said, look, you've got to be able to work 80 hours a week. I remember, you know, my third audit in Ernst & Young, I was doing Kenya Reinsurance Corporation. It was a very much small organization then. This was my third audit. I was doing the audit on my own. And the chief financial officer left the company the day I started my audit. I discovered a huge mistake in the accounts. So I was working until 3 o'clock every morning over about a 3 or 4 week period. And, you know, I said, this is part of learning. We got, you know, I used to have a colleague who, in Ernst & Young, his dad was an incredibly successful businessman in Calatina. But sometimes he would come home, he'd have an idea, so that, but anyway, going back to Alan Sugar, you know, he became an incredibly successful person. Why? He identified what people needed, he made what they wanted, and he now is one of the richest people in the UK. He's worth £1,000 million. That's the value of his wealth. Wow. So, you know, now, how much money did he start off with? With nothing. With nothing, you know? So I think it's important here to remember, you know, what you've got to do is you've got to identify something that people need. And then you do that, and you do it better than anyone else. And, you know, I remember once there was a guy who owned a business, and he wanted a student to come and work in the business. I said, what skills does this fellow need to know? The only thing I want this man to know is the following. If someone comes in and asks for a particular thing which we don't have, he writes it down, so that the next guy who asks for the same thing, he will in fact find it in that particular shop. So we got to be really discerning. We got to open our eyes. We got to look around. And, you know, I'm not a good business person. I don't have that skill. You know, I'm not an entrepreneur. I can tell you how to count your money and even account for deferred tax, as James was saying. But the thing is, I'm not a good business person. So, you know, I wouldn't sleep at night. But what I can do is I can tell you, you've got to, you know, where people see a problem, you see an opportunity. And this is the great thing about what these young people are doing, selling insurance. If you can sell insurance, as you were saying, Fred, you can sell anything. You can sell ice to the Eskimos. So that's what we got to learn how to do.
Wow.
Is that okay? Do you want me to say anything more? The only thing is I'm a man of many words, so I don't want to bore people.
Now it's just about getting James Mworia answering some questions that has been put to him directly.
Mm. Yeah, several questions have been posted on the comment section, because this show is live on YouTube and Facebook, and quite a number of people are posting their questions here. Some have, you know, have rolled back. Let me just check some. I think most of them want to know, how much money do you need to start a business or
Zero.
Something?
Zero. To me, actually,
Zero.
And people start businesses sometimes with 50 shillings.
Mm-hmm.
The point is, you know, you've got to see, you know, in fact, Fred can actually tell you his story. He runs a school in Mombasa. And, you know, I can't remember exactly how much he started with. I think it was it 800 shillings or something, Fred? That story you told me when we were sitting in Kisumu?
Yes.
800 shillings. He now runs a school which has 650 students in Mombasa.
Wow.
So the position here, okay, is, you know, he thought, now, where is there a need? And, you know, he identified that need. He used the 800 shillings just to print pamphlets. He advertised the business. That business was up and running, and he now employs, and many people have actually imitated him, because one thing we're very, very good at in Kenya is imitating other people. But it's you know, in this case, it's one of those things that, you know, he used his akili. He said, look, man, I'm sleeping here with mosquitoes biting me in Mombasa. How do I get out of this? So he, in fact, you know, went and printed, he had an advertisement, and he started up that school using his brains. And Fred, you got to tell that story sometime too. You got to even write a book about it. You know, My Journey in Entrepreneurship by Fred Ogola, doctor.
Thank you. So let me hear what James thinks too.
No. I totally agree with Jim, and I encourage you, when you have some time, look for this book called The Customer Funded Business by John Mullins.
Funded business.
The Customer Funded Business. The cheapest source of capital is from your customer. And if you focus on the customer experience, and I'll give you a real example, even in traditional businesses like real estate, where we do real estate development. I remember when we were doing Vipingo, I asked my team, a guy called Ken, go down there and see what people need and see what price they're prepared to pay for. So he came and said, you know, apartments are being sold at 4 million for 1 bedroom. I said, now, let's do one for 2 million. So the design team now has to work backwards from the customer experience. Now the design is in reverse. And we launched a product for 2 million shillings. We initially thought we'd sell 100. We've sold 500, and they're all paid for. So that project, we've not taken a single shilling of a loan. In fact, we have money in the bank. So the customer is prepared to pay you in advance if the idea makes sense. What I've learned is that if you find yourself having to raise a lot of capital, there's probably something wrong with the idea. And this is something I wish I knew earlier. So there's a lot of focus on capital raising as opposed to focus on selling the product to the customer. I wish we all learned that. I think that's what I've learned. That's where probably the focus should be. And now, even in the digital marketplace, a lot of customers have to pay in advance for you to conclude the transaction. So you then use the customer's money. So as long as you have the right mindset, you have the skills, you are reliable, you are honest, you build your name, you don't take the customer's money and deliver something less than what you had promised. You know, you build a brand by delivering above the expectations of the customer. So then they can trust you. Because the thing that is in short supply today is trust. People don't trust business people because many people want to take a shortcut. They want to offer X and deliver X minus 4 or X divided by 4. And you want to take a shortcut and think you can build a business in the shortest time possible. And the greatest value in the business is not the dividend. A lot of the companies we have sold, people ask me, why did you exit these businesses? We don't invest to get a dividend. We invest to create a valuable enterprise that we sell. So, for example, last year we sold our stake in the bottling companies. The highest dividend we got in a year is 400 million shillings. That might sound a lot, but we sold the business for close to 20 billion shillings. So it would have taken us 50 years to get that dividend. Now, for you to build a business valued at 20 billion shillings, you must build for the long term. You must build core enterprise value in that entity. And that's how sort of I've learned you create wealth. So to my mind, capital is never the constraint. The constraint is not focusing on the customer, having the wrong mindset, not adding sufficient value, not doing it better than the next person. You've had your friend talking, having no passion. For you to be really delight your customer, you must have passion. As Jim said, you must strive to be the very best at what it is that you're doing. To do that, you must bring in an extraordinary degree of effort. For you to have the energy to bring in an extraordinary degree of effort, you must have passion in what you're doing. You must bring an extraordinary degree of energy in that which you are doing. And that is what makes, and that's where the shortage is. The constraint is on that side of the equation, not on the capital. With that, then you'll have quite a bit of capital available to you.
Some people are asking for my contacts. And just so that you know, that person who's asking for my contacts, my telephone number is 727-857-917. It wasn't a lady, James, it was a man. You know, so just so that it's business, not unsocial distancing.
Business only. Okay.
So, Gidi, there's another question here that are we mentoring young entrepreneurs for business? And that is not a question. That's why we're here. I maybe, James, you want to say something about that?
Yeah, actually, no. In this forum I was on Friday, we discussed that issue. And I think the conclusion was actually, perhaps as businesses, we need to spend more time mentoring than even availing capital, because capital is not the issue. You know, there's a time we're doing, wanted to invest. I think Jim was still on the board in startups, and sort of to encourage them. And we set aside some capital, and we went through a very rigorous process, got 10 startups. We lost money in all of them. And we probably, if we had spent that effort in mentorship, in helping businesses better connect with the customers, I think my lesson there is that we may have had better outcomes. And that's what convinced me that the constraint is not capital. I think anyone who wants to support small businesses more maybe better off on the mentorship side, especially where successful business people come who have actually been, started, bootstrapped themselves up and actually spent time mentoring. So I want to commend Wanafunzi and Fred and Jim for what you're doing, because what I'm explaining, I didn't read in a book. I've lost some shareholders' money learning this, so it's very expensive knowledge over a long period of time, which I wish I knew a few years back. Maybe the organization would be a lot more successful than it is today.
So I think that in the interest of time, we would be able to give the award now. What we can request from James is that, James, because you believe that our work is mentoring and the collaboration between Centum, Jubilee, Wanafunzi, we will have more of these forums. We will make them brief. I'm sure it has been brief enough, not taken more than 1 hour. We can just do very brief to learn something small, and then we close it. And I think that can be, we continue as going, because if you mentor me today, you have to check how tomorrow, then you make a follow-up. So for the interest of time, let us keep our word and keep this show within time. So we can just award the winners. You can put their names on the screen. If they are available, you can join the link.
Okay, I've seen we have second runners-up, Elizabeth. She's at the backstage here. I also saw the second runners-up, but I think she's disappeared. Perhaps if she could come back on the screen so that we can put her on the screen. The first runners, or the winner, actually. Let me put her name on the screen. Perhaps, Dr. Ogola, you can explain about the Ignite Awards, the background around it, and acknowledge the winner.
So, of course, we have the winner who is called Daniela Kanani. Daniela wrote one of the earth-shaking articles because it's been read by 51,000 people.
Well done.
The way it was done was that we never wanted to choose by reading the article to see which one was better. Students wrote the article, and students voted for the best article. So the article has been read by 51,000 people. Now, James, you and I normally think that young people don't want to invest money. It is shocking that this lady wrote an article about how can you be able to live. Actually, is she on the backstage?
No, she's not at the backstage.
For her, the article was that you want to live a Western lifestyle with an African salary. That was the title. So some people want to live a Western lifestyle with an African salary. She says, I will pass, which means that is terrible. So this article has been read by over 51,000. I think these are statistics I saw 1 week ago. The article is still trending, and that's why she deserves to win. So Wanafunzi is going to give Daniela 5,000 shillings check. And after giving the 5,000 shillings check, she will have to at least save 20% of 5,000 shillings, which will be 1,000. Then 4,000 shillings, she can live with it, her African lifestyle, if she wants.
Okay. Congratulations. Thank you. We have first runners-up is Faith Mulungi. Faith Mulungi. Oh, Daniela. Actually, Daniela is at the backstage. Can I bring her? Daniela is here. Daniela is the winner. Daniela, are you getting us? Oh,
yes,
Karibu.
I am.
Thank you. Well done, Daniela.
Thank you.
Well done.
I like your story, Daniela.
So, just like 1 minute, tell us something about your article.
Okay, so first of all, I'm in Uganda, and it was just by chance that I came across the Ignite magazine, and I'm a very frugal saver. I save a lot, and so I felt like it was an opportunity for me to share how I manage my personal finances and to just help someone out there who's struggling with budgeting, especially being a student. So, yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
I see that your earrings are European style.
Pardon?
No, I'm only joking. I'm only joking.
Well done. Congratulations.
Earrings, though.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
So Daniela will give you 5,000 shillings, Kenya shillings. I don't know how much that is in Uganda shillings.
500 million.
No. 5,000 Kenya shillings is about 180,000 Uganda shillings.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you will save of that money.
I can see you good at mathematics as well, Daniela.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that is it. Congratulations. We shall tell you how you are going to get the money, but the checks have been written. You'll get communications on when you are going to collect the check. But first, we will forcefully save for you 20% of that money. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, congratulations, Daniela. The first runners-up is Faith Mulungi. Faith was at the backstage, but I think she got off. So I don't know, Dr. Ogola, maybe you can talk about Faith's article.
Faith's article was more or less also in the same direction with this, but what made the article look very interesting is that the title of the article was Chinese. So it was like Sheng Sheng Shang Chong. So people are like, what is this Sheng Sheng Shang Chong? But you see, guys talk about the issue that like when James said, Dr. Jim Mcfie said that when there are challenges or problems, see opportunities. The Chinese term for problem or crisis is opportunity. So I think that's what she was trying to see, that you can see opportunities in all this. And you can also save money and manage your finances very well because you don't have second chances. So I think that's what the article was more about. That article was read by around, as of now, around 41,000 people read the article. Why this is key to us? Imagine Nation Media Group, which has the highest circulation in newspapers in the country, circulates 17,000 copies in the country. When your article can be read by 51,000 people, I'm sure you are telling more than Nation. You are the media house. So that is Daniel. And for and for the first runners-up, she had 41,000 readers. So that's what she got. So you can imagine how Ignite is igniting. And this is the first issue. After the second issue, Daniel, you write the second one. If you win, you'll have been read by 100,000 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Yes.
Congratulations. Your check will come to you. Again, forcefully, 20% will be invested for you, and you receive the check, which will be 80% of 3,000. Congratulations.
Okay,
Thank
now
you.
the second runners-up is Elizabeth Ladoche. And I think Elizabeth is backstage here, although she's... I would kindly request her if she can hear us to just switch on the camera. Elizabeth, can you hear us?
Hi everyone. I'm unable to get to the video at the moment.
Ah, okay. But you can talk. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can.
Ah, okay. Yeah, perhaps you could tell us about how you feel.
What was the gist of your article?
Well, the main issue around the main area of focus about my article was around the money market funds. So when I came across the Ignite Awards competition, I was actually referred to it from a friend, and trying to think from a student perspective. Due to the whole COVID situation, when things were closed up, I remember I had 500 shillings left as pocket money because it was just all of a sudden abrupt. We are about to close school. So I had 500 shillings in my pocket, and I decided and asked myself, well, so what can I do with this 500 shillings? Instead of deciding to eat it up and go to the fanciest restaurant around, I decided to invest in a money market fund. So my article was more of a personal approach about how exactly I would use the money that I had at the moment. That's why the title of my article was Adapt Money COVID Hacks. The hacks I will adapt when investing in the money during the COVID period. Yes.
Great.
Yeah, thank you very much. What I saw that came out, in fact, from that article was that when you are hit by a situation, accept.
Yes.
The second thing, adjust.
Yes.
And the third thing, advance.
Yes.
The thing is accept, adjust, advance. They were incredible that came out from that article.
Thank you, because at the end of it all, you have to take advantage of every situation that life gives you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Correct.
Wow.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. I'm very proud of you.
Yeah,
Thank
Fred,
you.
I just wanted to top up your award with an equivalent sum for everyone. And that can go towards you opening your investment account with Nabo Capital. So, yeah, so I think the first one will get 5,000. And whatever you've won, I'll then just match it, and you can have your
wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Even if you give 5,000, I will still deduct 20%.
The 5,000 is for investment. Whatever I give you, you go open an account with a money market account with Nabo, and you start your investment journey there with them.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, when you're invited in a few years as a chief guest, you'll say, and that you're a millionaire, you'll remember today. You said, "I got that."
Yes.
Wow. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. James.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, ladies.
So I think we can have, I think the ceremony is over. We can simply do votes of thanks.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do you want me to do that, Fred?
I think, Jim, you can do the vote of thanks.
So, yeah, so as the representative Wanafunzi here, although Fred is much more representative than I am, I'd like to thank all of you. James, thank you very, very much indeed for coming this afternoon and spending some time with us. Thank you, Fred, as well. Thank you, all the attendants, all of you people who've been listening here. Thank you also very much indeed for organizing this. In fact, I forget your name, actually. It's
Giddy.
Giddy. Okay, thank you as well. And thank you, as I say, everyone, because I think this is time well spent. We could have been just pumzikering in a bar illegally, but here we are spending time fruitfully, I hope, and becoming better people as a result of doing it. So, but thank you very much indeed. James, you're a big attraction. Thank you very, very much. And I'll be coming back to you because I have an investment proposal for you, okay? I'm looking for some capital, but we'll talk about that later. Thank you very much indeed, Daniel.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. See you.
Wow.
All the very best.
Thank you, everyone. I was the MC, but my role was more of like an operator. I'm the one who has been, you know, removing people from the screen, adding some and all that, the background tech and everything. So thank you so much for being on my platform. I really appreciate. I'm also an alumnus of the Strathmore Business School. That's why we have a connection with Dr. Ogola and, of course, the rest of you. So this sounds like more of a family meeting, and I'm so happy to be part of this, Dr. Ogola and the rest of you. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
And remember that after this session, Daniel, Elizabeth will be coming to your show live so that they can be able to explain more to the other people.
Yes.
So I think we can take up from there, then we can close.
Wow. That's great. Okay. So looking forward to meeting you again.
Daniela, but I think you're a much better Daniela than she is.
I didn't get that.
A niece who's called Daniela, but I'm much more proud of you than I am of her.
Thank you.
I'll tell you sometime why that is the case.
Thank you. Okay.
Then. Thank you.
Wow.
Okay, all the very best then.
Thank you, everyone. And bye-bye. Asante sana. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Sure.